What is up, YouTubers? Johnza here, and welcome to another episode of Zawcasters. And in our last video, we were talking about the Mario movie, some stuff I liked about it, some stuff I found very interesting about it, and some stuff that might be happening for the next movie. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we talked about last time. And now, for the start of, every episode starting from this point, I'm going to be spinning a wheel, because right now, I don't know what we're talking about. You guys know what we're going to talk about, but I don't right now. So I have a wheel here, which I guess I should go over what some of the topics are, just so you guys also kind of know what we might get later in the future. But what we have in here, for talking about game-wise, or even maybe show-wise too, eventually, we have the Poke Park franchise. There's Skylanders, talking about Mario Kart, Spore Hero, Smash Bros, Pokemon Violet, the Stanley Parable, Slime Rancher, Pokemon Mystery Dungeons, Minecraft, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, DK64, Pokemon Stadium plus Battle Revolution, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I put Bakugan Wii, but I might talk about the show at that point, which who knows, we might be talking about it this episode, who knows. The Until Dawn, the Quarry, and the Dark Pictures Anthology, which I'll go into details of what those games are. Talk about FNAF, Detroit Become Human, and Miitopia, which you guys, if you see my main channel, you know what Miitopia is. But, yeah. I'm about to go spin the wheel right now and see what we're going to be talking about for this episode. And that is going to be Pokemon Violet. Alright, so I can talk about my, how I feel about Pokemon Violet and everything. Well, I guess Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll just call it Pokemon Scarlet and Violet since it's kind of the same game and everything. But, yeah. Just give me a second, I'm just putting that away. There we go. But anyways, this episode we're going to be talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, for me, it took me a while to complete the game in general, just because, well, time-wise, normally for me, especially with me having to grind out quite a bit of, or grind out my Pokemon too, to a specific level I wanted them to be before starting the next episode for my channel and everything. Since I did do a full Let's Play of it, well, I mean, it's not on, all the episodes aren't on my channel yet, but, I've at least recorded all of the stuff to this point, for, well, at least the story. There are still a few things I could probably record in Pokemon, Violet, but, yeah, if anything, I still need to take care of some legendaries too, so that's gonna be something. We do also have the 2 DLCs that are coming out as well, so, you know, the 2 waves that are coming out, which is gonna be interesting, which they kind of did that for Pokemon Sword. They had the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. I forgot the names of what the 2 new ones are, but I guess that we're gonna get to that. I actually don't even remember when they were supposed to be released. I don't think it's sometime this year, I think. I don't know. I can't exactly remember. But anyways, I think all the starters are pretty alright. I mean, in my case, the base forms are probably my most favorites. I think the one I like of their evolutions more is probably Skeleridge, which is the full evolution of Fuecoco. I think that one looks pretty sick. Springatito's evolution looks pretty alright too, or at least its first one looks a bit, I think it looks a bit better than the last evolution, which is a Meowska, I think. Anyways, I don't know, I can't remember their names quite just yet. I'm sure I'll remember more in time, which, funny enough, actually, if I do upload these times, well, no, because, okay, no, I think 3 episodes would be up by the time this comes out, because, okay, pretty much by the time I'm recording this on April 11th, and this Friday it's supposed to be the first 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes are going to debut on this Friday, and then obviously the next Friday will be episode 3 and everything. It's the new Scarlet and Violet anime, which, as you guys know, Ash's journey has finally come to a close. Well, I guess not completely. He's technically out there, still just traveling, I guess. But like, as of anime wise, his story is done, and now we move on to some other trainer's journey. So, you know, can't wait for that. Yeah. The Quaxley line, I think it looks okay. I think I like Quaxley the best of its evolution. Thing is, I don't know how to really feel about the rest of the evolutions so much because I've yet to even get a Quaxley in that game, honestly. It's been so hard to fucking try to trade for one. Like, because there's this one, like, trading method where people do, where if you type in a certain code, you can switch, or you can trade between, like, the starter Pokemon, like, with random people. So, like, if you wanted to trade a Fuecoco for a Quaxley, you can do that. You just have to find someone who's looking to trade a Quaxley for a Fuecoco. And when I tried to get I tried to get a Quaxley because I had like an extra Fuecoco or even an extra Sprigatito. I tried both of them to try to get a Quaxley. I always kept ending up like they were always offering the same Pokemon I was trading, which was kind of insane. I'm like, am I ever gonna get Quaxley? I think there was literally an episode title where I'm like, yeah, it's on YouTube already, but I think I called it like, did no one pick Quaxley or something? Like, I'm curious if anyone actually really picked Quaxley. Like, how many people that actually purchased the game? What is the percentage of people that have picked Quaxley? Like, I know there's been some YouTubers I've seen that picked Quaxley, but yeah. The thing was, also, when I first started playing, I would, like, even my first video, which was a live stream, by the way, I was debating on either picking Fuecoco or Quaxley, but I decided to go with Fuecoco because he's an adorable croc, and I love him. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the new Pokemon are pretty alright, too. I think, is his name Baxcalibur? I think that's what it is. It's like the new pre-pseudo-legendary. I think it's a decent looking one. I'm not gonna say it's like, I don't think it's like one of the greatest pre-pseudo-legends. I mean, its typing seems pretty fun to use, like Dragon Ice type. And he literally looks like a Godzilla, so that's another interesting point of view. I think one of my favorite Pokemon through the new series, or the new region, would probably have to be Cloth. I just love that stupid rock crab. He just looks so funny. I guess I could talk about more about the story and the different stuff you get to do. Because especially in this game, it is legit like an open world experience. You can go do whatever the hell you want at whatever time. Hell, you can do one of the last gyms before you even start any of the other gyms. You can probably fight one of the Titans or the big Titan before the smaller Titans. Like, the stronger Titans versus the weaker Titans, anything like that. But, yeah, it was very interesting to play the game. And the thing is, with all the other, like, side stuff you had to do with the gym battles, the Titans, and the Team Starfall bases and everything, like, there was always, like, a category for every single type. Like, there was, like, 8 of the separate types went for gyms, 5 other types went for Titans, and then the last 5 went for, the Team Star, which I think was interesting. I kind of liked how they made it so there's always, like, a specific thing that had a certain typing, if you get what I mean. And I thought that was interesting. That was definitely one of my fun things. It's almost like a gym battle for, like, every single type, That would be a very nice thing to have at one point, maybe. It's like, have a region where there's, there's, like, 16 gyms, and all of them have, like, is it? No, it's 18. But, like, all 18, gyms are all different types, you know? I think that'd be very interesting. I think with terastallizing, I'm going to move on to that. I think it's a very interesting concept as well. I mean, like for one, it can boost your stab like a lot, but it can also change your typing, which is very very interesting. Like there are two Pokemon I had at the pretty much I think in the first few episodes that I just decided to keep on my team because they were amazing, especially with their certain moves that they learned too with their Terra type. Because earlier I found a Shinx with Ice Fang that was a Ice type uh, like its Terra type was Ice type. So if I was going up for say against a Grass type and say I didn't have a normal Ice type with me, I could bring in my Shinx, or I guess a Luxray would be at that point. I could like Terra type it, so it would be a full on Ice type, and then use Ice Fang, or even use something that Ice resists, like um, what does Ice resist? I actually don't know. I guess maybe would it resist grass? I don't know, but like then you can have like some resistance to grass with it too as you change your type. I mean, say okay. Here's another good one because I found a Slugoo with Sludge Bomb and its Terra typing was poison. I think that would be very helpful to use against a Fairy type because okay, say you don't have like any poison types on your team, for instance. So you can bring in your like Goodra that knows Sludge Bomb and has a toxic Terra type. You can change your type to Poison pretty much at that point, which, if anything, Fairy is super effective against Dragon, right? Which normally that's what Goodra is. But if you Terra type into a Poison type, you can bait them and try to use a Fairy move on you, because obviously in the first turn you're still just your regular like type in. But like as you Terra type, you change the poison. They use a fairy move or whatever, and then it's resisted because I'm pretty sure poison resists fairy. I know poison's just good against fairy in general, so. But yeah, it's like a nice little like combat which is pretty unique. It's kind of nice to change the Terra types as well. Um, the Terra raids for these or I guess like the new raids and everything. I think it's a very interesting concept as well. Um, definitely a little bit harder to get at times, but like, yeah. The only reason I find it like a bit more difficult is because like even with like a level 100, you can almost not even beat a level 5, like a level 5 star, and the level 5 stars aren't even like the highest rank. There's like level 7s, so that's a bit of a tricky one to deal with sometimes. But I mean, I guess to be fair, in Sword and Shield, whenever you went up against a 5-star raid, it was kind of the same. But the thing is, when you like, it's almost more useful to go in with AIs because one of the penalties you get when you faint in the raid in Scarlet and Violet is that you lose a bit of time, which in that case it doesn't affect the AI teammates. Like if all of your teammates are AIs and if their Pokemon die, it doesn't affect the time whatsoever. Like it doesn't give you the penalty. It only happens when you faint, and that's what gives you like a time penalty because there's a time limit to actually like defeat the Pokemon before it uses like its ultimate move against you and blow you away out of the cave or whatever. But yeah, the thing is, if you go in with like human players, if their Pokemon faints, you like the time still like gets the penalty, which yeah, it's very risky to go in with people unless you like know exactly what you're gonna do. So yeah. Yeah, it's very like more risky. Unlike with in Sword and Shield, because I think it's more handy if you have like human players than AIs, because they always like select Pokemon that are good against the type in. And in this case as well, like, since they're Terra Raid battles, you have to always plan out for what's going to do great damage against this certain Terra type, but also having to deal with that Pokemon's certain moves. Like, for instance, say I go up against an Ice type Lantern, right? Normally you would like to use Fire against it, or Rock, for instance. But those moves are weak to Water, which Lampin has Electric and Water normally. And if it uses something like Water Pulse on you, then you're going to take that heavy damage. So, even though you're even though you can do massive damage to them, they can do massive damage to you and kill you quickly. So, yeah. Especially since you also can't, like, switch mid-battle. Like, you literally have to pick out your Pokemon before you go into the raid. So, yeah. At least you can also, like, keep dying until, like, the fight's over. Like, the old penalty for that was... It was like, if anyone on your team died 3 times, or was it 4? No, I think it was like if anyone from your team dies 4 times, and this means like in total, like say you and one other person die once and another person dies twice, that would be it. Which I guess that was another like easy way to have like if I have people join in too, because I swear the AI characters in Sword and Shield can get wiped out almost immediately sometimes, and obviously if they die it puts a penalty on you, which is probably what's kind of useful for the Scarlet and Violet raids, is that the AIs don't put a penalty on you now, which is nice. I think that's like one of the nice buffs they did for the Terra raids, so yeah. Anything else? I do like how Norman, or Larry, I don't know why I call him Norman. I mean, Norman is a normal type gym leader, same with Larry. Larry is like the normal type gym leader in Scarlet and Violet. But I also like how he's a champion, too. It's kind of weird. That's like the first time they've ever had like a gym leader also become a champion. So, that's very interesting. I also do like how he also changes his type as well for like the champion battles or like the Elite Four battle, because normally his gym is for normal types and that's what he normally prefers, as what he says. But like I guess the rules say like he can't use the same type he normally uses for his gym, so he goes for like flying instead, which is nice. Which I think as well, I think all the Elite Four members use Pokemon type-ins of the Titans, at least. Because I don't think there was anything, like, any types that really related to the gyms or the Team Starfall members. I think, anyways. Because I know Flying was one of the Titans. I think we faced off against Dragon at one point. I think Rock. And... Ground? No. Was it Ground? Was it Steel? Maybe, I don't know. But I think they all mostly used, like, the typings for Titans, which was interesting. But, yeah. The Paradox Pokemon, I think all of them do look pretty alright. Even though a lot of people prefer the, Scarlet Paradox ones. I mean, they look pretty, like, they do seem a lot more doper than the Violet Paradox Pokemon. But I still like the looks of the Violet Paradox. Like, I pretty much have a Paradox Pokemon of everyone in Violet now. I don't have it from Scarlet because I don't actually have Scarlet yet. I might actually just buy it just for the fact to get the Paradox Mons. So, you know, I mean, hell, my one friend actually did buy both. And I think what they're doing for their Scarlet, because I think they originally bought Violet, but I think for Scarlet, they're doing a run where they're doing like a fire type only run. So like you can only use fire Pokemon, which I would like to do that for my challenge channel at some point. Which, if you guys don't know, I do have a main channel where I do Let's Plays and stuff, and I have a challenge channel where I do like challenge playthroughs. So like I do a specific, well, not just playthroughs as well, like challenge playthroughs. I also do like small little challenges that are like maybe just a few minutes, maybe it takes a while or something. But yeah, it's something that I've done. But I know before I did like a fighting type solo run on Sword because I had Pokemon Sword. I never actually fully completed it, especially since I also had to switch my switches because my old one kind of broke down, kind of. I mean, it still kind of works, but like the SD card slot kind of failed. Like it fails every time I try to plug it in and everything. So it still works. It can't like read a SD card anymore. So I have a new one, and it's also for the fact that I have so many games, and it'd be very difficult to switch between them all the time. So that's why. But yeah, I would like to do that for Violet and Sword at one point as well. And I even say for my main games because I can literally make another small like account on like a different profile, which is pretty nice for the Switch. I will add because normally in a game that allows you to have one save file, you can tentatively just put like another profile. It doesn't even need to be a full-on Nintendo account. You just need to put another profile on your Switch, and then you can just have a save there for now. Which is pretty nice, especially if you want to do some certain Let's Plays and everything. And then you can delete them later if you're done with that kind of playthrough and everything. Especially with Pokemon, which is pretty nice. So, just thought I'd point that out as well. But yeah, I would like to do that, especially for my challenge channel at one point. Which, like I said, also before my main channel and my podcast channel, both links are down in the description below, so go check them out if you haven't already. And yeah, what else is there to talk about? We're already 20 minutes into this podcast. I guess I like the fact that you have like the box legendary with you pretty much at the start, even though you don't really get to battle with him. Like you almost have like that certain bond with him throughout the journey as well. He's like your ride Pokemon too. I do also like how after you fight the Titans, you get like some sort of upgrade for him too. Because the thing is, as well, you're kind of limited to where you can even go, as well. With when you have either Koraidon or Miraidon. For me, it's Miraidon because I think the 5 upgrades you get extra speed, you get a higher jump, which those ones I don't really find as interesting. You get a glide, which you get to glide for a few seconds, then you start slowly falling to your doom. You have the climb one, which that was the last one that I got. And what was the other one? Speed jump. What was it? I actually don't remember. But you kind of get the point. You get upgrades so you can like get around the map easier. Because the thing is, like when you just start with Miraidon, just riding him normally, you don't really have a lot of like free, like as much free range. Like you have to really get these certain upgrades before you can actually like explore like even more of the map. Even then, it's also hard to get to location to location as well without these certain like power ups and everything too. Like nowadays on my save file of Pokemon Violet, I can pretty much go like anywhere on the map I want at this point. Like just quick, simple like that. But like obviously at the beginning of the game, like you're probably gonna have to take out a few gyms, Team Star or some Titans. Well, most likely the Titans, but like you have to do those before you actually like really get to explore like everything, which it's decent as well. Like obviously it's meant to kind of keep you around the beginning area first, just so you can take on everything else that's easy to take care of, and then you can get onto the hard stuff later on, obviously, with the grinds and everything. So, yeah. I also find the starter choice interesting. I mean, I know we were talking about the starters before, but I mean like starter Pokemon in general. because the ones that have at least returned, because obviously not all Pokemon have returned. It would be amazing to have like over 1,000 Pokemon in one game, but nah, they kind of stopped that after Sword and Shield, which is understandable. I mean, you have to try to put in so many Pokemon into one game. Like, already is enough. Like, adding 400 in general is like already a lot of Pokemon. But yeah. But the starters that came back, what was there? There was. I'll try to go by region. I'm not counting Pikachu or Eevee because they're technically their own Pokemon. But we have Charmander, we have Cyndaquil, we have Oshawott, we have all the Gen 6 starters, so we have Froakie, Chespin, and Fennekin. We have Rowlet, we have all the Gen 8 Mons, or all the Gen 8 starters, and of course the Gen 9 starters, which is very interesting because this would technically be the first Pokemon game that they haven't had like the full starter like set in a game. Because normally like with Oshawott it's like even with Oshawott, like the other starters from Gen 5, they're Snivy and Tepig, who've yet to even make an appearance in the Switch yet. Like, you cannot play any game with Snivy or Tepig on the Switch yet, which is a little bummer. I think they're the only starters, too. But yeah, and then same with Rowlet, like, Popplio and Litten aren't even in the game. Cyndaquil, there's no, Chikorita or Totodile. And for Charmander as well, like, he doesn't even have Squirtle or Bulbasaur by his side either. Which is very, very interesting. I mean, I guess you can kind of count Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and Rowlet as a starter set because, you know, with Legends of Arceus, they were the picks for that. So, yeah. But then there's also just Charmander, too, which he's kind of all by himself. Which is very interesting because if you also add up the amount of type-ins for each of the starters, there's like 5 fires, 4 waters, and 4 grass, which is interesting. I don't know for the DLCs what starters they could bring back. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're like they will just bring back like Squirtle and Bulbasaur to just complete like a starter set, or just bring in some random ass Pokemon. I would like the Sceptile family to come back because then I can make my ultimate team that I guess you could say it's like my anime team that I would have. So my anime team I would have would be Pikachu, Charizard, Sceptile, Greninja, Crocodile, and Goodra, which the only one of those 6 that are not in the game yet is Sceptile. And funny enough, in Pokemon Sword, I'm also still missing one between those 6. Sceptile's in there, but you're missing Greninja. So, it's a very mixed relationship right there between Sceptile and Greninja. And then I do have more to the team. It's like an extra set, which it's mostly just like 5, but like you would have like Dragonite, Gengar, Lucario, Absol, and Scizor. Which all of those Pokemon are at least in the game. Or are they? Well, I obviously know Dragonite, Gengar, Lucario, and Scizor. I know they're in the game already. Is Absol in the game? I actually don't know. I don't know if Absol is in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet yet. Huh. It may not be complete after all. I thought it was, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to look at that later, but, you know. Other than that, I think Sceptile would be the only other Pokemon I would truly, really want. I mean, like, a bunch of the other Pokemon, there are, like, a few other Pokemon I would like to add in. Like, if anything, I would love to have all the starters come back, but some reason in my head, I don't think that's ever really going to happen. I mean, hell, for Gen 8, the only starters they brought back were like the Gen 1 starters, the Gen 3 starters, Gen 7 starters, and of course their region starters, which was the Gen 8 starters. So yeah, very interesting to me in some points. I did also like the very ending part, like as you're going into Area Zero, and also finding out about the Paradox Pokemon as well, and just learning about what the professor has like done and what happened to him, and like everything as well. Just like the final battle, it's pretty nice. I enjoyed it, especially to find out that the professor you were talking to the entire time was a robot. So that was a very surprising shock. And I like how they didn't want to harm you, but like in their programming, they had to stop you from stopping the time machine, which was also a nice little detail and everything. And poor Arvin, like he had to lose his parent like twice, kind of. I mean, he already did technically lose his parent because I say parent because if you play Violet, it's his dad, and if you play Scarlet, it's his mom. So it's either Pokemon daddy issues or Pokemon mommy issues with him. But yeah, uh, yeah, because the original professors, like the living, breathing professors, they died in Area Zero, so they had like a robot clone thanks to the Terra crystals and everything down there, which was a very interesting like plot twist as well. Like I was calling some of the stuff out, like how I was saying, "Oh, the professor's a robot," but yeah, especially for the fact that there was also another like box legendary down there as well, because obviously there's the one you traveled with, and then there's the one you kind of battled later, which was with the professor or the robot professor, as I would say, which is interesting. You do also get to catch that legendary later on too. So if anything, you pretty much have, like in my case, I have two Miraidons now, but I use one for riding and the other one for battling, which is nice. But yeah, it is a very interesting game, and I definitely do recommend it. Even though it does have its like choppy moments too, like it, the frame rate. I can't speak. The frame rate isn't really the best, but it's still a fun game nonetheless, and I do enjoy it. There was something else I was gonna say, but I forgot. What was it? I was talking about something, and my brain is just gone. All right, I was talking about how games are becoming more easier. Like I will say the Pokemon games are getting a bit easier, but I guess they do kind of put in a bit of that challenge still in some cases, like with the story and everything. I mean, obviously, if you over level, then you're fine and everything. But I'll just say this: it was very, it's more easy to level up your Pokemon now than it was way back in the day. Because when I first started playing Pokemon, it was like around Diamond. Like Diamond was my first Pokemon game, and even before that, like the games before Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, they were even harder in some cases. Like I'm pretty sure with Diamond and Pearl, it was the first game to have your Pokemon survive on 1 HP after being poisoned. Like the thing is with the older games, if you went like if you kind of kept walking and let their poison drop down to 0, then obviously they just faint. But in Diamond and Pearl, they let them like stay at 1 and everything. But and there's also the case where you only got to level up like one Pokemon at a time, maybe two if you have an XP share. But like other than that, like in these newer games, you just get to level up everybody at once. There's not even an option to turn it off. Like there's also like the set battle option too. Like that's an option to kind of make the game harder because what set does, set makes it to where like they don't say like what Pokemon they're gonna bring out, and you don't get an opportunity to switch before they bring in their next Pokemon. So that's like one of the ways to make it harder. And funny enough, like legit in this new Pokemon game of Scarlet and Violet, they literally took set mode off, which is interesting in play. Especially for people like the Nuzlocke too, because I think one of the rules is to have it on set and not like, know specifically what Pokemon they're going to throw out next. You can strategically switch normally, but yeah. I'll just say a lot of these mainline Pokemon games are becoming a lot more easier to play through, especially like leveling up wise too. So yeah, I just thought I'd point that out before we end it off, because I know we're kind of going a little bit over for when I wanted to stop, but just a few other things I wanted to talk about as well. But yeah, I think that's a good point to stop at. I think I said everything I wanted to say about the game. I do enjoy the game. I think the only complaint, obviously, is just the frame rates at certain points, but other than that, it's a pretty fun game, and I enjoyed it all the way through. There's still probably more stuff for me to do. I mean, there's like the DLC that's going to be coming out, and of course I still haven't caught all the legendaries yet, so that's going to be a challenge. But anyways, that's going to cut it for this episode. Next episode, we will spin the wheel once again to see what episode we will be or what game or game genre we're going to be talking about in the next episode. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching or listening to this podcast. If you guys enjoyed it, press the like button or subscribe or whatever. And I will see you in the next episode. See you soon.